What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another great episode. We've got some really good stuff today, so we're going to get into this. As a disclaimer, don't believe anything that you see on these videos. Don't believe anything that I say. This is all for entertainment purposes only, but also I encourage you all to do your own research. Research is extremely and inherently important. Don't listen to anything you ever see or hear. Question everything is the main message. Question everything. But we're gonna get into some stuff. This is a bit different from my other videos, but I just want to see what you guys feel about this. Where do you sit on these topics? And so yeah, let's get into it.
Russia took pyramids and they hollowed them out. They built hollow pyramids in a laboratory setting outside, and they began to plant crops underneath the pyramids and took the same exact type of crops, planted them on the outside of the pyramid. And in these experiments, the crops they planted inside the pyramid structure in the sacred geometry grew almost twice as fast and were almost twice as abundant as the ones that were planted on the outside in the same exact soil. So they found out that there's something to do with the angles, right? Accessing these angles or these angels, to accessing this higher dimensional energy that feeds the third dimension that can be harnessed and utilized by third dimensional life forms. And so, this is incredible because then that same experiment was replicated many times. And we now know that a pyramid structure harnesses natural energy, right. Not just harnesses it, but can actually transmute it into living things. Teotihuacan, the city of Thoth. That's why the pyramid there, the pyramid of the sun, is the same exact dimensions of the base of the Great Pyramid at Giza. The alignment is the same alignment with Orion at the Great Pyramid and the other two pyramids that are sitting there on the Giza Plateau. Both pyramids are built on top of aquifers, right? And the pyramid of the sun, which is the larger pyramid at Teotihuacan, is exactly 50% the height of the pyramid at Giza, the Great Pyramid at Giza. It's the same architect, same exact architect. His name is Thoth. He went there with Africans from Africa and built the Teotihuacan civilization. They extended all throughout Mesoamerica, all down into Tulum, down in through the jungle, into the Yucatan Peninsula, down into Chichen Itza. All of that was built. The Mayans built nothing. And they admit they built nothing in their own records. They will teach you this when you go study archaeology and ancient civilizations in college. The Mayans built absolutely nothing. They had no knowledge. They inherited what was already there. The Aztecs, who came couple hundred years after the Mayans, also inherited what was there. The Aztecs were in another part of Mesoamerica where they were living in a valley. That valley had a volcanic eruption. The mountain behind it was a volcano. It was active. It erupted. It destroyed everything. Some of them died. They had to go find a new place to live. As they journeyed through the jungle, they stumbled upon Teotihuacan. And guess what? They moved right on in. Again, they built nothing. They built nothing. It was already there. God is omnipresent. He is also everywhere. Now you see, that's true. The real God, but not the one in the Bible. You know why God is everywhere? Because every atom in your body it contains the spark of the creation. So every single person, every single atom and everything, which means the table, this microphone, my computer, the room I'm in, the house I'm in, the carpet I'm sitting on, everything here has atoms, which means it's all God. Everything is God. And by that method, God is everywhere. telekinesis, moving things with the mind, controlling things with the mind. But we're also talking about unseen things like manifestation, right?
Yeah, right.
We're talking about all these attributes that Thoth had the capability and the power over. He wielded this Heka force wherever he went, and he taught it. Even throughout China, he was Wang Di, the first emperor of China. Okay, he flew in on a fiery dragon, and he stayed there for hundreds of years, raising those people out of a barbaric state, teaching them everything, and then he got on his fiery dragon and he took off and he left. But he taught them. Thoth, yeah, Tahuti. He was the first emperor of China, Wang Di.
Wang Di? Yeah.
Wang Di, that's right. Listen, this man's been everywhere. But he went there and he taught them the power of, this is why the Asian cultures have the understanding of the energy and how to move the energy through the body. Yeah. They learned that from Tahuti.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Telekinesis.
The felines, aka the lion people. The felines is one of the two primary angelic races in our universe. They are from a constellation that we call Lyra. They arrived here and impacted ancient Egyptian culture greatly. This is why the ancient Egyptians have countless cat idols, and the cat was regarded as sacred in ancient Egyptian culture. The overall feline temperament is warm, sanguine and intellectual. As they mature, they take on more of a somber, introspective and gentle nature. The elders are revered for their wisdom, compassion and insight. Their eye color ranges from blue to gold, and can change from blue to gold as they mature. They also turn from a golden brown color to white. The Egyptian god, named Mahas, was a feline angelic being. Mahas was known as the god of war, in a very similar fashion as the Greek god, Ares. Many of the so-called Egyptian gods were the feline race. To name a few: Bastet, Mahas, Sekhmet.
The Anunnaki. The Anunnaki are a biblical angelic race of melanated angels ranging from olive-skinned to dark-skinned. The Anunnaki are from a planet called Nibiru. These are the angels that Ezekiel seen in Ezekiel chapter 10 verse 20 to 22. Some of these angels are responsible for mating with humans and creating Nephilim giants. The Anunnaki are also known biblically as the cherubim angels. As you can see, they've been impacting human culture for thousands of years. Our ancestors were deceived and worshipped them as gods. Among the Anunnakis that fell from grace are named Enlil, Enki, Ninhursag, Nana, Shamash, and Ishtar, Inanna. Enlil is generally
I just said all that on mute. So I know that that might seem odd, but do your research. Ishtar is where we get Easter from. So they ended up, when the cultures combined, she was worshipped as a fertility goddess. But Ishtar is where we get Easter from. So just look it up. Do your research.
regarded as the most prominent of these. Enlil was one of the supreme deities of the Mesopotamian pantheon. He decreed the fates. His command could not be altered.
Sorry to pause again, but you see the size of Enlil there. Let me go back. So you see the size of Enlil holding a dragon, the size of him. And look at the fates next to him. So you hear about the fates weaving, time. The fates weaving time. And they're all women. Fates are sisters. Three or four sisters weaving time. Just remember that when you're looking at it.
He decreed the fates. His command could not be altered, and he was called the God who granted kingship. His temple, the mountain house, was located in the city of Nippur, the religious center of Mesopotamia up until the 2nd millennium BCE. His temple was the most important temple in all of southern Mesopotamia. Nippur was an ancient Sumerian city. It was the special seat of the worship of the Sumerian god Enlil, the Lord of Wind, ruler of the cosmos, subject to an alone. Nippur was located in modern Nufur in Afak, Iraq. How I know these particular Anunnakis are fallen angels is because God himself says in Exodus chapter 20 verses 3 to 5, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I the Lord thy God am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me." Meaning that anyone who worships false gods will have a generational curse placed over their family for 4 generations.
Damn it, I said that on mute. So, you hear about this all the time. I'm not saying that this happens specifically all the time, but what you do hear is the sins of my father's fathers are the sins of my son. So 4 generations have to pay for the sins of the father.
The world believes in aliens, but aliens are simply fallen angels posing as outer space ETs to deceive the public. Let's speak about the biblical prophet Elijah's encounter and how this matches up with Western pop culture's UFO abduction stories. Kings 2 verse 11 says, and I quote, "As they were walking along and talking together, suddenly a chariot of fire and horses of fire appeared and separated the two of them, and Elijah went up to heaven in a whirlwind." Now let's break this encounter down piece by piece. What is a chariot of fire? Well, firstly, understand that Elijah lived in a time where technology didn't exist. Elijah was trying his best to explain the advanced forms of technology these angels were displaying. So Elijah says, chariot, because this was the only form of transportation he was familiar with. So Elijah's seen some type of vehicle that he best explained in his own words as a chariot of fire. Elijah was explaining this advanced vehicle in primitive words. Elijah calling this a chariot of fire implies that this vehicle had some kind of fire-based propulsion system similar to how a rocket ship's propulsion system emits flames. Now that we broke down what a chariot of fire is, let's dive into how Elijah was taken up into a whirlwind. This sounds very similar to a modern-day UFO abduction. Many UFO abduction stories describe how the abductee seen a UFO and then was levitated into the craft from this beam. We all seen the movies displaying this very sight. God sent fallen angels to this earth and they're still here. Our ancestors encountered these fallen angels and worshipped them as false gods. We must remember that angels are not human. But with this alien agenda running rampant, angels can easily be confused as so-called aliens.
So what do you guys think about that? I think that there's a good bit of truth to support a lot of that. I don't know if I personally... How do I put this? I don't know if I personally believe that what they're saying is completely accurate. I believe there are a lot of truths in there, but I don't believe that it's all completely accurate, right? Because you're talking about Mesopotamia, you're talking about Elijah, then when you get into Enoch, and the chariots of fire, you're talking about, people who did not have technology and they're trying to describe what they've seen. Now, a lot of times when you see something with wings, it doesn't mean something had wings. Lots of things did have wings, make no bones about that. But that was the way for the people at the time to express that they flew. They would attribute wings to them. And you've got to remember that a lot of these languages that were spoken during these times didn't have certain things that we have now. Like Aramaic, for instance. Aramaic didn't have a past tense. There was no past tense. In Aramaic, you couldn't say, "What have you been doing?" or "Where were you?" because it was all in the now. And the same is with Greek. Except Greek compounded Aramaic and Latin. They were able to get beyond that, but when you're talking these ancient languages and before they got scattered, and what Elijah saw or what Enoch saw, these are people trying to describe something in the only way that they know how. So when he says chariots of fire, yeah, that could be rockets, or it could be light. The rumbling of the ground. I just fail to believe that angelic beings. But this is me personally. You don't have to agree. I fail to not only believe but accept that angelic beings would need to be in a craft that used a propulsion system that would rumble the ground. Now, the fallen angels, they didn't have access to source anymore. They were cut off from source. So they had to do what they had to do. They did not have access to the godly weapons or the godly ways anymore. They were disconnected from God, from source. So they could have done certain things, but I would need a lot more to go on. But the one thing that I do know is people, and people are going to try to describe things the only way that they know how. And so if they see something with a lot of lights, wheels turning, all this stuff, and then, even if there is a propulsion system and it's pushing out gases and heat and rumbling the ground, the people that see that, they don't understand what they're seeing back then. And there's no way in their language, I've studied Aramaic, there's no way in their language to understand it. Most of those languages didn't even have vowels, let alone a past tense. So, I could be wrong. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying where I'm at right now, and I'm still learning. But let me know what you guys think.
The Anunnaki are beings who had wings, wore horned caps, and possessed the ability to control all of humanity. These beings claim to have created humanity, and they are false gods. The Sumerians revered the Anunnaki as heavenly beings who shaped the destiny of their society. Now, similarly to the video I covered about how the ancient Egyptian gods were also fallen angels, the Anunnaki gods are fallen angels as well. Perhaps even the same entities impacting different cultures around the world. Let's dive deeper and uncover evidence supporting this claim. These fallen angels, which went under the alias Anunnaki, are the very same beings described in the Book of Enoch and are called the Watchers. These were the same beings responsible for mating with human women, creating the Nephilim, but their original task was to watch over humanity. God caused a great...
I'm gonna pause right there because I can't stand when they say mated with human women, or any kind of term that was not violent, because what scripture, and not only the King James or the Strong's Concordance or the earlier text, even the Ebiotic Bible says they took human women as their wives. Took, as in, without permission, without acceptance. Took. They found them to be beautiful and took them as their wives. I just want to make that discretion clear.
Great Flood and ancient Sumerian text also have documented a great flood occurring, which connects the dots to the Anunnaki being responsible for creating the Nephilim, but not humanity itself. The fallen angels have impacted many cultures, and any culture who believes in multiple gods were most likely visited by fallen angels, which are false gods. Egyptian gods and Sumerian gods are all the same beings, just under different identities, however they are all fallen angels.
Yeah, Egyptian gods and Sumerian gods and even Greek gods were all the same people. And you had people in the time of Jesus that also lived next to the people of Sumer, which also lived in the time of Egypt. Now, they did not live in the time where the true Egyptians that created the pyramids lived. It's not the time that they lived in. They lived after all of that stuff was created. Even in biblical texts, it talks about Christ talking to somebody that was from Sumer, but he was speaking Aramaic and they spoke Sumerian. And it's a very deep dive. You'd have to get very in depth into it. But all of that doesn't even matter because what happened before that goes back, it transcends all of that. It predates it's by so many years. So that's what you've got to get into. Get into the root, you know. My field, we would call it root cause analysis, but just get into the root of it and find out why.
Angels do not look like this. They look like this. Let's look at how Ezekiel explains what angels actually looks like. Ezekiel chapter 10 verses 14 to 22 says, "Each of the angels had 4 faces. The first was the face of an angel, the second was the face of a human, the third was the face of a lion, and the fourth was the face of an eagle. The angels rose. These were the living creatures that I saw at the Chebar River. When the angels moved, the wheels moved beside them. When the angels lifted their wings to rise from the ground, the wheels didn't leave their side. When the angels stood still, the wheels stood still. When the angels rose, the wheels rose with them. The spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels."
I'll just go ahead and ask, have you guys ever seen anything like that? I'll wait. Has that ever been any of your experiences? Because I have had those experiences. And that's accurate, but I can't claim that my experience has gone beyond that. I've had multiple experiences with angelic beings. And in my experience, this is something I probably should not be talking about because people will probably, call you crazy or whatever. But in my experience, they would appear to me. Well, it wasn't they. It was only one, and since I was a child, he appeared to me, and he appeared to me in a form that would make me comfortable. His visage, with what he looked like, and I say he also because angels, from what I know, are all male. There are no female angels, So, my experience, I have not seen seraphim or cherubim. I've only seen, one archangel that I've dealt with since I was a child, and I had no, I wasn't raised Christian. I had no experience with Christianity. I had no idea what any of this was. This was just experiences that I was having. And it has happened throughout my life. And, yeah, if you go by what the words say, that is a very anatomically correct depiction of what specific ranks of angels. But there are very many ranks of angels. And then the fallen angels, that's the part everybody wants to focus on. So no one knows, who they are or what they are. Nobody knows exactly. There's so many ranks, and their ranks are not infinite. They have a finite number of them. It's not like, they never end. They are immortal, but there's a finite number of them, and there was a finite number of them that fell. So, are we being deceived by the fallen? I would say yes, but I would also say yes because just like you cannot measure cold, you cannot measure darkness, but we measure it by how less light there is. That's how we measure darkness. We measure cold by how less heat there is. We would measure the same way a fallen angel. How far cut off are you from God or source? And if you are completely cut off, which fallen angels are, then you have no idea what you'd come across. It could be a multitude of things. Whatever is within their power to do, cut off from source, which is a lot of power cut off. That's my personal opinion. Let me know what you guys think. And like I said, this is not a religious discussion. I don't want to get into denominations or religion. I'm just talking about my own personal experience. I don't care what religion you are. I don't care what you believe in. Nor should you care what I believe in. These are just experiences. You know, I'm not sitting here claiming that I'm a Christian and I've done this and that, you know, because I don't think Christians were the plan. You know, I don't. There's nothing that I've read that shows me that denominations and, you know, different sects of Christianity or different religions who all, you know, really abhor one another and think the other are going to hell. That was never the plan. I've never read anything that says that, and I've read a lot of ancient documents. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. I've probably said too much, but, you know, it is what it is.
The Bible says that 1/3 of heaven's angels were casted out of heaven and sent to earth for rebelling against God. So it's not a coincidence that every ancient culture has stories about these mysterious gods descending to earth. Remember, the fallen angels were kicked out of heaven because they wanted to be their own gods. So do you think they really stopped having that desire to be gods when they came to earth? Who do you think all of these mysterious gods are throughout all of the ancient cultures? These mysterious beings match up perfectly with the fallen angels.
Let's speak about biblically accurate angels. Not just any angel, but the angels in the Garden of Eden preventing humans from entering it again. This class of angels is known as the cherubim. Genesis chapter 3 verse 24 says, "After he drove the man out, he placed on the east side of the Garden of Eden cherubim and a flaming sword flashing back and forth to guard the way to the tree of life." These are also the same angels that are on the infamous Ark of the Covenant. In the book of Ezekiel, the cherubim's appearance is explained, and I quote, "Each of the cherubim had 4 faces. One face was that of a cherub, the second the face of a human being, the third the face of a lion, and the fourth the face of an eagle. Then the cherubim rose upward. These were the living creatures I had seen by the Kibar River." Ezekiel chapter 10 verses 14 to 15. In your mind you may have thought an angel that looks like a baby would not have to say, "Be not afraid." Something that is frightening would have to say that to a human. Now, let's speak about a cherub angel looked more like this. That is because of how many paintings portrayed these angels to make these angels appear more acceptable. However,
So I just want to stop this one right there and preface this with, I'm not trying to push any kind of narrative. I just thought it was interesting. But also you have, you have something showing, the literal depiction of what, what scripture says they look like. But also the names are interesting. El in Hebrew is God. So El is God. So you have Michael, Michael, the archangel. Michael in Hebrew means one who is like God. Names, in the Bible that says were given to them by God, of course, their creator. So then you have Uriel, another archangel. Remember, El is God, the flame of God. And then you have Samael, which means God has heard. And Samael is Lucifer, the light bringer, illuminator, also over wind and music in heaven. and it kind of makes sense that he would be over music, considering how the music industry is, what we see in the industry. That makes very much sense. It starts to, put things together if you think about it.
In the bustling streets of late 1800s Paris, towering giantesses known as the Femmes Colossales emerged, gracefully navigating the city's skyline. Legend had it that these women, draped in elegant French fashion, were protectors of the city, their colossal presence both feared and revered by the citizens below. In the bustle.
So, femme colossale in French means the colossal women, or the large women, women of large. I had read about these when I was in France and when I was in Germany a long time ago, and I find it beautiful. I think it's great that it shows that history isn't what our U.S. education teaches us, and history has a bunch of gaps in it. And I think this is beautiful. I think it's great. One thing I'm curious about, though, because I've seen these same size people in England, and me, one thing I'm looking for is how many fingers do they have? Because, I'm looking for 6 fingers and 6 toes and double rows of teeth, because those are Nephilim, but these are not Nephilim. These are obviously not Nephilim. These are just people. They might have been from a giant race of people, but it doesn't have to be Nephilim. Nephilim weren't the only giants. Here there were plenty of giant species of people that were here that were just the same as us, just larger. But and I remember reading about especially the men, the size of that they had, or the shoes that they made for them, and the work that had to go into making their clothing. But this is just a curious question. Where would they go to the bathroom? Because you can't go into like a normal stall at that size. Where would you go to the bathroom? I've seen like some of the places where they live, and some of them will make exceptions and make larger doors for them, not large enough to completely walk through. They still have to bend down, and even larger rooms for them to be able to sleep in. But where would they go to the bathroom? Like that's got to be a tough thing to work out, because that would be a lot of that'd be a lot to clean up. I remember I used to have a Maltese, little Maltipoo, and she was easy to clean up. Now I've got a big ass German Shepherd, and it's a lot to clean up. It's like human sized. I'm just wondering, how would you facilitate that? Is the thing. The logistics behind it would just be a nightmare. But yeah, I mean, they've got to go somewhere. Maybe they, back then, I'm sure they had lots of outhouses. Maybe they made a special size outhouse for them. I wouldn't, I don't know.
This is what angels actually look like according to the Bible. These angels look identical to humans, and they can walk amongst us without being detected. They are known as archangels. Even though one archangel named Michael defeated Satan himself, these angels are the second to lowest ranked angels, just giving us an idea of how powerful angels truly are. 2 of these archangels were responsible for destroying Sodom and Gomorrah, and in the same text their appearance is described. In Genesis chapter 19, God sent 2 archangels to Sodom and Gomorrah, and when Lot met these angels he made them a feast. meaning they could eat physical food, discrediting the theory that angels are just spiritual beings with no physical body. The people of the city didn't even call these archangels angels. They referred to these angels as men, meaning these angels looked indistinguishable from a regular person. These angels warned Lot to leave Sodom and Gomorrah because God sent them to destroy it. The Bible explains that the Lord rained sulfur and fire on Sodom and Gomorrah, destroying it completely. And this is the iconic scene where Lot's wife looked back and was turned into a pillar of salt. There is actually a pillar of salt on Mount Sodom in Jordan named Lot's wife. Archangels are the most well-known angels in the Bible, with the two most popular angels being Gabriel and Michael. You may think these angels look terrifying like the other classes of angels, however.
I am now the proud owner of a little Tesla tower. Here we go. Fluorescent light bulb still in its package. No wires, no nothing. Nikola Tesla. Wireless transmission of electricity.
What do you guys think about that? It says he was found unalived less than 24 hours later. But really all he did was, I don't know if he had someone build or purchased, a miniature Tesla coil. I don't see why somebody would off him like that. You can build those. I in fact do plan to build myself a small one just to play with. I probably should do that, but yeah. Before I play this video, again, I want to preface by I'm not trying to push a narrative. This man is called Ron Wyatt, and I've followed him for many years, and he was always searching for different types of Christian relics. And one thing that he found was he found this area where there was, like a cave and then a wall, and then they got through the wall and they could see, something covered by like a bunch of animal skin and a bunch of other stuff. And I don't want to spoil it for you, but I'm just going to go ahead and spoil it. So they find a little bit of like dried blood. And so they take this blood, and this is in, I think this is in Jerusalem. But anyways, they take, Israel, they take this little bit of dried blood, and they take it to the university there. And they don't tell anybody who, this wasn't Israel, that's right, because they took it to the university there. And so they asked them to take a look at the blood and see what they could see. And when they finally got through mixing the blood and getting it ready to look at, when they looked at it, they saw 24 chromosomes. And so they saw 23 chromosomes, a woman, one chromosome from the father. And, the biologist thought that he was playing some kind of joke on them. And this is all on video, so I'll have to find the actual video. But they say, they're all confused, and they look up and they're like, whose blood is this? And he's just crying. He goes, that's the blood of your Lord and Savior. It's Jesus's blood. And, Israelis and people in Jerusalem, Hebrew, they don't believe in Jesus being the Son of God. So, but everybody in that room had tears because they're scientifically looking at something that says, you got 23 chromosomes from a woman, which is normal. You should have 23 from your father, meaning we all have 46 chromosomes. There was one chromosome father. So I just wanted to let you know, because this doesn't get that deep into it, but I just wanted to play it because I think it's interesting. When people say nobody's looking or nobody's done research, people are out there doing this stuff. They spend their life's work doing that. Again, I'm not trying to push a narrative, not trying to push any kind, I don't believe in religion whatsoever, so I'm not trying to push a narrative, but I just thought this would be interesting for you all to see.
Until this time, we've been unable to show this blood and its analysis, but God has this on his timetable, and it will be done at the perfect time. Here, as God's last message is being given to the inhabitants of the earth, there are real angels, not just scratched pictures in stones, that are taking a very active part in doing this. When I found the Ark of the Covenant in that chamber, all of the furnishings had been covered by a layer of animal skins. On top of that, a layer of wooden boards, and on top of that, enough stones to fill the rest of the chamber up to near the roof. After I had been in there 3 times, the 4th time I came in, there were 4 young men standing in there that if I had met them on the street, I would have seen no difference between them and anybody else. One of them said, "We're the angels that have been assigned to the Ark of the Covenant, and we'll tell you what God wants to done with this, and we'll help you do what he wants done with." They wanted me to take a sample of the blood and have it analyzed. All I had with me was a film cartridge and a pull tab from a Coca-Cola can. So I
Listen to the shaking in his voice when he talks about certain parts of this. Listen to, like, you can tell this is very emotional for him, as it should be.
took this pull tab and straightened it out to make a little bit of a scoop with it. And I collected about 3/4 of that little canister full of this dried blood. We had this analyzed. We put an amount of this blood in some normal saline and at body temperature, and we swirled this gently for 72 hours. And this was part of the instructions I got from the angel. When we put this in a growth medium for another 72 hours and put it under a microscope, the white blood cells were dividing. We were able to get a chromosome count. There were 24 chromosomes. 23 Christ got from Mary. He got 1, which was the sex determinant, or the Y, from his heavenly Father, for a total of 24. All of us have 46. We get 23 from our mother and 23 from our father. Now, this blood, folks, was still alive after almost 2,000 years. The people that did the test thought I had pulled a fast one of some kind on them. Never in their lives have they ever seen any dried blood that was still alive. There's a scripture text talking about Christ. It's in Psalms. It says, "You will not leave my soul in hell, and neither will you let my body see corruption." So after almost 2,000 years, Christ's blood was very much alive and still is.
The Anunnaki are beings who had wings, or horned caps, and possessed the ability to control all of humanity. These beings claim to have created humanity, and they are false gods. The Sumerians revered the Anunnaki as heavenly beings who shaped the destiny of their society. Now, similarly to the video I covered about how the ancient Egyptian gods were also fallen angels, the Anunnaki gods are fallen angels as well. Perhaps even the same entities impacting different cultures around the world. Let's dive deeper and uncover evidence supporting this claim. These fallen angels, which went under the alias Anunnaki, are the very same beings described in the Book of Enoch and are called the Watchers. These were the same beings responsible for mating with human women, creating the Nephilim, but their original task was to watch over humanity. God caused a great flood, and ancient Sumerian texts also have documented a great flood occurring, which connects the dots to the Anunnaki being responsible for creating the Nephilim but not humanity itself. The fallen angels have impacted many cultures, and any culture who believes in multiple gods were most likely visited by fallen angels, which are false gods. Egyptian gods and Sumerian gods are all the same beings, just under different identities. However, they are all fallen angels.
Aliens are angels, and we're about to meet them since we're more advanced. Let me explain. Multiple government officials came out saying that aliens are here and that they want to make an intergalactic federation with humans. But let's dissect what this truly means. The government, as we know, never tells the whole truth, so let's replace the word aliens with the word angel so you see what they're hiding in plain sight. So these angels want to create an intergalactic federation with humans because they think we're almost ready to join them since we're technologically advanced now, and these angels have been waiting for us to reach a certain level so we could join this federation. This is pretty much a fancy way of saying the rapture is about to happen. And the rapture will be covered up as an alien invasion. But here's how. You must first understand that angels actually do fly around in UFOs, and our ancestors knew this. Check out these ancient paintings with angels present. These look like what we call a UFO, right? Also, the actual rapture is far cooler than we think. The rapture actually will be as humans that are chosen by God, meeting these angelic beings face to face, and then they'll help us advance in several ways, including granting us with immortality. This is said in 1 Corinthians chapter 15 verses 42 to 44. God's chosen ones will be taken. Comment if you would like a part 2 to how.
The government is preparing us to meet aliens. But what if I told you that aliens are actually the biblical angels and fallen angels? Let me explain. Take a look at these Renaissance paintings. You can see what we call UFOs present in all of these paintings. There were also UFO sightings back in biblical times, but they had a name for what we now call UFOs and aliens. They called the UFOs chariots of God, and they called aliens angels. And that's exactly what they are. These are not extraterrestrial beings, they are interdimensional angelic beings from heaven. They don't travel through space, they travel through dimensions, which is why they seem to disappear and then reappear. That is an interdimensional feat. Now let's just say you're a skeptic who ruled the Renaissance paintings out as a form of creativity from the artist. My question to you then would be, how come the US government is releasing classified information relating to the same crafts seen in the Renaissance paintings? They look exactly the same because they are the same exact beings that were documented in the Bible. We are living in biblical times, and these angels are on earth with us, preparing to meet humanity under the false identity of aliens. Christ is with us all, so do not worry, just keep your eyes open for the great deception.
I know I've played this one before, but this one just gets me because there are 6 different people, 6 different viewpoints, POVs, that capture this, and it's just something about it. You know, I'm pretty good at telling when things are real or fake, and I can even, you know, put them into a map and look through to see if it's been tampered with, and this one just always just kind of gets me.
Oh, holy fucking shit, guys.
I think power does.
Oh no. Holy fucking shit. I don't think we'll be able to get video of it because it's not rain around.
Oh,
Holy fuck.
no, I don't know.
He closed the door. What's that gonna do? If something like that were after you, closing and locking your front door is not gonna do shit. Cute reaction though. So these next few videos are gonna be about this guy called Simeon Tokel, and this guy, they tried to unalive him. They did unalive him many times, and he came back, and he just cannot be taken out. And it's people aren't taught about this man, but just wait till you see the videos. It's some pretty amazing stuff. I'm just trying to give some different perspectives on things. You keep hearing about the Anunnaki and Anak and people using words inherently incorrectly. Like Illuminati and blah blah blah. When they don't actually know what the Illuminati is. Let me know if you want me to do a video like just talking about that and what the real stuff is. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do that, and I will. But and I think it probably should be done. But this guy is something that most people aren't taught about. I've known about him for years just because it's stuff I kind of get into rabbit holes with. But I've got a few videos on it, so we're gonna dive into this and let you see what's going on with this.
Why couldn't this man be eliminated? A man named Simeon Toko was being compared to Jesus Christ in the 60s because of his godlike abilities to regenerate after being unalived. He could also appear to people in an apparitional state, which means he'd appear to them in his spiritual body. And he stopped a plane in midair just by ordering it to stop. If you're interested in the other videos I made on Simeon Toko, follow me and look at my Simeon Toko playlist because I made several videos on him and I want to get his story out because it's rather unknown on a grand scale. But anyways, this man is being compared to Jesus, and although that comparison is disrespectful in many people's eyes, he literally is immortal. And although many may be quick to call him the Antichrist, he was a devoted Christian. Let's cover the story of Simeon Toko in more depth. Simeon Toko was born on February 24, 1918 in a northern village in Angola. In 1949, Simeon Toko asked in his public prayer that the Holy Spirit manifest in Africa to put an end to the abuses of the colonial powers. Toko became a dedicated member of the Baptist Church in Otaga. Toko was sent to slavery in an agricultural field in Kakonda in southern Angola, and a hit was placed on him when word spread of this Messiah-like African man. In 1994, Pastor Adelino Kanhandi, who was a cook at the Kakonda agricultural compound, saw what happened to Toko and couldn't believe his eyes. When Kanhandi was cooking, Toko said, "Kanhandi, come here." Toko told him to stand outside and be watchful because Simeon Toko was aware of what was about to happen to himself. Toko looked at Kanhandi and said, "Once again the Son of Man will be tested." One of the Portuguese foremen told Toko to go under the tractor because weeds were clogging it, and when he did, the man turned it on unaliving Toko. Kanhandi stood frozen in fear, not believing what he just witnessed. Then out of nowhere Toko regenerated before Kanhandi's eyes, leaving him completely shocked and making the Portuguese man run away in terror. But Simeon Toko was a black African man born in 1918, and he had superhuman abilities similar to Jesus Christ. He was healing people, and he even summoned cherubim and seraphim angels to help defeat the Belgian army. As crazy as this may sound, this is a true story. We'll get into the other unbelievable superhuman things he did in a bit. The elite powers do not want the world knowing about this man because he was the first of many more Messiah-like figures to emerge. In the 1960s, Simeon Toko said more people like him would come and that the elites wouldn't be able to stop us. It is believed Simeon Toko was the first of the 144,000 described in the Bible. He was healing people and performing supernatural miracles. Some of the superhuman qualities Simeon Toko had was regenerating after attempts on his life, even if he was completely eradicated. One time doctors heard of the rumors of his mystical abilities of being immortal, and they removed his heart surgically to see if it was true. He woke up from the operating table saying, "Why are you persecuting me like this? Give me my heart back," leaving the doctors completely shocked. Simeon Toko was reaching people with his message, and the cabal attempted to silence him for lack of better words. Once they found out he had Jesus-like abilities, but no attempts on his life succeeded, and he just kept coming back.
Simeon Toko is alive. Simeon Toko told the elites that many more people like him would emerge in the near future. Are you one of them? Before we cover Simeon Toko being alive, let's recap his story briefly for those who are unfamiliar on who Simeon Toko is. Toko was a man going around Africa in the 1960s touching the sick and healing them. He even summoned a legion of 1,000 angels for an epic battle against oppressive soldiers. Several people seen these events happen with their own eyes. But if you would like a story on what these angels did and what witnesses say about this event, follow me and comment "Angel Story," and I'll cover that next. But we're here to speak about the possibility of Simeon Toko still being alive. For starters, this man was immortal and could not be taken out. The several first-hand accounts of his mysterious qualities is where we'll look for this hypothesis. Several people seen Toko come back to life several times after terrible things that I cannot say on TikTok. However, even after his alleged natural departure, many people still reported seeing him in an apparitional state. This could mean that
Simeon Toko Part 3, the African man who is being called the Black Jesus because of the superhuman abilities he had. Let's speak about the superhuman things Simeon Toko did. One time Simeon Toko was on a plane and he ordered the plane to stop in mid-air, and it did just that. It didn't fall, it didn't go forward or backwards, it was just suspended in the air. The reason he did this was because he was set up by the cabal and they had sinister plans for Toko. So once he realized the plot, he said, "I won't go alone," and then he stopped the plane mid-air. Toko also had the ability to regenerate. Even if an attempt on his life was successful, he would still miraculously come back. A man admitted to taking Toko out professionally and seeing Toko perfectly fine the next day. The reason there were so many attempts on Toko is because the elites viewed him as a Christ-like figure, which is a direct threat to the Luciferian powers.
So I'm going to pause right there. If you look at right here, this is where he was on the operating table and they removed this man's heart. And just like in the previous video, he woke up from the operating table saying, why are you persecuting me? Give me back my heart.
World. The Bible says that Satan is the god of this world, and also that during the battle of Armageddon, God will go against the powers of this world alongside his children. If you would like a part 4 like
Teotihuacan, the city of Thoth. That's why the pyramid there, the pyramid of the sun, is the same exact dimensions of the base of the Great Pyramid at Giza. The alignment is the same alignment with Orion at the Great Pyramid and the other two pyramids that are sitting there on the Giza Plateau. Both pyramids are built on top of aquifers, all right? And the Pyramid of the Sun, which is the larger pyramid at Teotihuacan, is exactly 50% the height of the pyramid at Giza, the Great Pyramid at Giza. It's the same architect, same exact architect. His name is Thoth. He went there with Africans from Africa and built the Teotihuacan civilization. They extended all throughout Mesoamerica, all down into Tulum, down in through the jungle, into the Yucatan Peninsula, down into Chichen Itza. All of that was built. The Mayans built nothing. And they admit they built nothing in their own records. They will teach you this when you go study archaeology and ancient civilizations in college. The Mayans built absolutely nothing. They had no knowledge. They inherited what was already there. The Aztecs, who came a couple hundred years after the Mayans, also inherited what was there. The Aztecs were in another part of Mesoamerica where they were living in a valley. That valley had a volcanic eruption. The mountain behind them was a volcano. It was active. It erupted. It destroyed everything. Some of them died. They had to go find a new place to live. As they journeyed through the jungle, they stumbled upon Teotihuacan. And guess what? They moved right on in. Again, they built nothing. They built nothing. It was already there.
So this is something that you're going to notice throughout history for thousands and thousands of years. All of these civilizations, when you're talking about the Aztecs and the Maya, none of them built any of these things. And even in the U.S., when quote unquote natives were here, there were thousands of species of different people here before that were building all of these things. And the Egyptians, that's why we have proof of in the Grand Canyon leads you to an area that they found all of these Egyptian artifacts and Egyptian writing, and and again the Smithsonian covers all of that up. But Egypt came here, Africa came here, Thoth took a bunch of Olmecs from Africa around to build a lot of these ancient cities way back then. I'm gonna put in the description. I'm gonna put one of the PDFs for the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. I think Thoth is one of my favorite characters because you've got Thoth and then you've got Hermes Trismegistus, which means thrice times great. But Thoth is the wise one. But see, even Thoth, you know, with his father Amun Ra, which is why you say Amen after you pray. See, people tried to worship Thoth. Thoth had amazing abilities and could do. He had the most wisdom of anyone, you know, of his kind, let alone our kind. He was the wisest, you know, on our planet. But people tried to worship Thoth, and Thoth would tell them, "Whoa, do not bend down to me. I am not your God. Do not call me God. I do not need worship. I'm here to help you." And that's one of the big differences between Thoth, because Thoth was wise enough. He had wisdom, but he took the ego out of it. But his family didn't. So when you're talking, you know, Ishtar or Amun Ra, all these people, you know, they wanted to be worshipped because they have the ego. They wanted to be over people.
The Bible says that 1/3 of heaven's angels were casted out of heaven and sent to earth for rebelling against God. So it's not a coincidence that every ancient culture has stories about these mysterious gods descending to earth. Remember, the fallen angels were kicked out of heaven because they wanted to be their own gods. So do you think they really stopped having that desire to be gods when they came to earth? Who do you think all of these mysterious gods are throughout all of the ancient cultures? These mysterious beings match up perfectly with the fallen angels. And
so what do you guys think it is? There's a bit of a difference in paradigm here. You have people talking about the Anunnaki and about, you know, all of these ancient gods, but then you have, you know, fallen angels from biblical text. But then you have, you know, the Sumerian texts that date back further, much further than the Christian canons. So, but then you have the Ethiopic, Bible that has everything in it, and I would highly suggest you look at that if you want to see the Ethiopic Bible has everything in it. They never took anything out of it. The Nicene Council was never a part of the Ethiopic Bible because they were set apart from everything else. So they kept everything. So Enoch, all of these books are all in there. So there's a bit of a difference here. So I want to know in the comments what you guys think, you know, is going on, because we have all of these people talking about, you know, the Sumerians, the Anunnaki, you know, the ancient civilizations, Thoth, and yeah, these things existed, but what are they? You know, are the aliens fallen angels? Are these false gods fallen angels? You know, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious. Like I said, I'm not trying to push a narrative. I don't believe nor care about religion, but I do care about science and facts. And I know that, you know, Christ was never trying to push religion. That was never his agenda. He was not trying to push religion. And I'm sure if or when he looks at, you know, what's going on today, you know, it breaks his heart because he never wanted religion. Religion is what divides us. And I always say in my videos, whenever you see an us versus them mentality, it doesn't matter if it's one denomination against another denomination, or blacks against whites, or rich against poor. Whenever they're trying to divide, there's a bad agenda there, and we have to stick together.
When you look into the ancient past, or the Emerald Tablets, well, after the Great Flood, he talks about going back to the land of Kim, and he says rebuilding the civilization to a high level. So what that tells us is, oh, there was already a high-level civilization eons ago, before the Great Flood that we know about. All these indigenous cultures all speak of this Great Flood that happened. And then what he says is, after they build up Giza, he then told his people, that crew that came with him, to go around the planet and duplicate what we did here. So that's why when you go anywhere on the earth, you're going to see similar structures, similar construction techniques, megalithic blocks, and all the alignments are going to be very similar, because it was the same master architect that taught the world how to build these structures.
The Emerald Tablets contain a prediction that thought will return in flesh, that is, a material body, when his time comes. He himself is immortal, and in later centuries his essence passes into the bodies of people in a special special way described in the scriptures. In this way, he became the famous Hermes. In his current reincarnation, he leaves wisdoms known again as the Emerald Tablets, but this is a lighter and adapted version. The tablets are attached to each other with rings of gold alloy and are suspended from a lever, and the wisdom contained within is the basis of our entire existence. It is said that if one reads them with open mind and eyes, his wisdom will be increased 100-fold.
Have you ever wondered where Jesus got his wisdom and knowledge from? Some scholars believe that Jesus may have been a student of Thoth, the ancient Egyptian god of wisdom. Thoth was known for his vast knowledge of mathematics, language, science, and spirituality. He was also believed to have created the written language, which allowed for the dissemination of knowledge beyond the oral tradition. Many of Jesus' teachings and parables show a deep understanding of these subjects, leading some to believe that he may have learned from Thoth or from those who were influenced by Thoth's teachings. Furthermore, there are connections between Jesus and ancient Egyptian spirituality, such as the use of symbolism and the belief in the afterlife. Some even believe that Jesus' teachings on resurrection were influenced by the ancient Egyptian belief in the resurrection of Osiris. While we may never know for sure if Jesus was a student of Thoth, the possibility opens up a fascinating conversation about the intersection of different cultures and belief systems throughout history.
Thoth is known as the Egyptian moon god, but Thoth is not really a god, but is actually an alien extraterrestrial, specifically a soul from the fallen angelic Inky Anunnaki hybrids on planet Nibiru, which are a race of insectoid reptilian serpents. This insectoid serpent creature, Thoth, incarnated as a human hybrid on Earth in several different lifetimes as a powerful magician and priest in Atlantis, and also as a few Egyptian priests during the Hellenistic time period when the secret mystery schools were flourishing in Egyptian culture. Thoth was once part of the Emerald Covenant, which is a universal guardian co-evolution peace treaty, so he was once highly respected. However, Thoth eventually defected from the Emerald Covenant in favor of Niburian Anunnaki dominion agendas, translating portions of the Emerald Covenant sacred sciences into written form and passing it off as his own genius in a forgery text that became known as the Emerald Tablets of Thoth.
So that part I've never heard before. I can't validate that until I do some more research on it. I know that Thoth did take all of when Atlantis was being sunken. Thoth did take all of the teachings and writings from Atlantis, and he did give that out to people. Did transcribe it and written it down in a written word for people to be able to understand. That is one thing that I know that he did. But as far as, demonizing him this way, I don't know if that's true. I can't say one way or the other. It's up to you. Let me know what you think. If you've done any of this research, I have not heard that perspective yet, so I don't know if that perspective has any validity. But if any of you has done any research on that specific perspective, let me know in the comments. I'd like to know. I'd like to actually really know.
I'm on my son, I'm gonna get y'all right. I'm gonna do this all the way backwards because I think you so-called teachers out here be doing it wrong. So before we get into the Anunnaki, the Atlanteans, the Egyptian God, whatever y'all want to call them, we gonna talk about this brother right here first. Let's dig. If you big on rhyming words, taught and thought, it's damn near his name. They resembles thought and thought. If I'm saying them right, but they resemble. See, this dude right here, this Armin Ra brother. Of course, we're gonna get on Armin Ra later, but this guy right here, he like his father, the God of wisdom and writing. You dig what I'm saying? That boy got a lot of knowledge, but that ain't the only thing. Let's dig. His sister brought darkness to Atlantis, so he got up out of there. He ain't want no parts. He took the records of Atlantis, knowledge and wisdom of the universe, and went to a place called Kim. Kim is modern day Egypt. Some will call him Enki, maybe even Jesus. You hear me? No cap. He played a lot of characters, like for real. But we gonna get into that. He definitely wrote the Emerald Tablets, if I said that word right. Him and his crew definitely teaching everybody around that motherfucker. They is dead ass building a whole new civilization. This dude used advanced technology and knowledge from the stars to build the Great Pyramid of Giza. He built a pyramid. And he used the pyramid for a power source. The power source! See, look, hold on, let's step back a little bit. When he first landed, him and the people first landed, them Kim folks did try to kill him, of course. But he stopped them with the power of his staff, freezing them all in time, talking to them in their head, basically telling them he come in peace. On my mama's son. They bowed at his feet and he became ruling king of them Kim folks. Egypt, whatever. It's so much more to him, of course. But this the part where I want everybody to understand. Let's dig. He put his avatar to rest, to jump from avatar to avatar to avatar, to spread wisdom and knowledge. Lifetime after lifetime. Oh, y'all, hold on. See, back then, they had this place called the rejuvenation chamber. You know what rejuvenation is. He's in that chamber right now. While his body is rejuvenating, he is outside spiritually, going from, but look though, when he reincarnate, he forgets again. One of y'all thought, yeah, one of y'all is, in your sleep, thought will appear to be an old soul. Dude had so many coordinations. He was a teacher, an army teacher, a church teacher, whatever you want to call it. I'm just using the dumbest of the dumbest words so y'all can understand. He heard. The boy straight made more pyramids, then made a school, the ancient Egyptian history school. Like, and you had to it was only chosen ones that get in there. You had to actually get approved by him to actually get accepted in the school. Okay, now hear me out. Are you guys, when they say remember who you are you trying to remember where your avatar came from? Or is you trying to remember where your soul came from? Test your mind, trust your mic. We dropping all day today.
I like that. I think it's beautiful that a brother's really picking up on that kind of stuff and really understanding that kind of knowledge. It's true. Thoth did have a specific school, and when you hear people say Kim or it's Kemet, that was what ancient Egypt was initially called before any of these other words were, put upon its name. But it was Kemet, Kim, K-H-E-M or K-H-E-M-E-T. But yeah, Thoth had a school, and you had to be chosen to be a part of his school. But that was the original time that happened. But this happened a lot of times. If you think about Pythagoras, the Pythagorean theorem, the Greeks, to be in a school, to be chosen to be a disciple of Pythagoras, just like to be chosen to be a disciple of Thoth. You had to be chosen. You had to show some kind of aptitude to what he was teaching, and then you would be chosen. And it was a serious deal, like I said. Most people were not literate. Most people could not read or write. So with the Greeks, though, the Greeks and the Romans, the Greeks had started, all of these things that we have today, democracy, government, all these words that we now know today. So, just all of these things, and it's not all good. But one of the main things was to be a disciple of Pythagoras was a serious ordeal. You were chosen at a very young age, and not only were you literate, but you also had to study with him and with the few peers that you had that were in this elite group that were chosen specifically by Pythagoras. And only those people could do that work. No one else had knowledge. So, not in a sense, it was literal occult knowledge, because this was hidden knowledge, just like the teachings of Thoth were hidden knowledge. So, I think it's a beautiful thing that people are waking up, and what he said is absolutely truth. Both there is a rejuvenation chamber. I've refrained from talking about it because Thoth isn't the only one. You know, he's reincarnated many times, many times. But as you all know and understand, that when you incarnate on this three-dimensional plane, which we're now shifting to a fourth dimensional plane, and we can see that in the people that are experiencing it and us that are talking about it. We're pushing that agenda, and it's happening. This is scientifically measurable. This is something tangible. You can actually measure that. It's very tangible. But anyways, so Thoth, he would regenerate, but he would come back on this third dimensional plane, which means, like he said, just like all of us, when you come here, you forget. Well, some of us didn't forget, you know, like myself and very few other people that I've met throughout my 30 countries and how many ever thousands of people I've interacted with throughout my life. But you know, it led me to search. You know, so all of these books I have, you know, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the Enuma Elish, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, Emerald Tablets. I have all these books. You know, I've read them all, and I was searching for something that made sense to what I was remembering, because nobody that I could, and this is when I was a child. I'm talking 7, 8 years old. You know, I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to understand what's going on, but nobody I talk to, other than my beautiful mother, would understand. So she would lead me to all of these different places throughout Europe, throughout Asia, and just expose me to things and see if that, you know, touches on something. So that was one of the main things. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe if you love my content. I appreciate all of the beautiful comments that I've been getting from you guys. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys on the next one.